Today's topic, I'm going to discuss TSP withdrawal options and how an individual that's either nearing retirement, they came into some sort of qualification period where they're eligible to start implementing some of their TSP withdrawal options, how they can really understand what are the three most important options to kind of go over and see how they can utilize it for their benefit or for their retirement planning needs. Show you some common mistakes that individuals make when trying to utilize their Thrift Savings Plan withdrawal options, and then how to create effective strategies that you could execute to ultimately ladder out your accounts. So something that allows you to comprehend what you have available so that if you want to do it on your own, how you can create some sort of roadmap to do that, or how to look for certain areas to make sure that you're optimizing each specific lane. So one might be set up for an emergency need, one might be set up for income related planning, and then other might be set up for your growth related needs, and make sure that they're working like perfect pieces of a puzzle so that you have this beautiful picture at the end of the day when you're walking into your retirement and you basically have that confidence. So what are the three main withdrawal options that an individual could utilize when they start nearing retirement or they come into some sort of qualification period? The first option is going to be a lump sum option, meaning taking everything out of your Thrift Savings Plan account and either placing that into your checking savings account, and how that could be a large mistake. Doing a rollover where you're rolling it over into like-to-like terms. So if, let's say, you have a pre-tax qualified Thrift Savings Plan and you want to go and roll that money over, you could roll it over into a traditional IRA or multiple IRAs so that each one could be customized towards its specific preference or towards your specific optimization strategy. So that's the first option. The second option is taking in the form of systematic withdrawals. So let's say you're leaving your money exactly in that Thrift Savings Plan, but you're executing some sort of monthly payment or quarterly payment, semi-annual payment that you want to start pulling from this sort of account. So what's happening with the account is it's still being invested in your different allocations that you chose with your Thrift Savings Plan and all those different investment options, but you start slowly pulling monies out of that account, which the good news could be leaving the monies invested and just slowly taking some dollars here or there. The bad news could be if you're experiencing downside market losses and you also are pulling out those monies and you don't have the correct strategy, you could result in basically failure and having no more monies left in your savings plan if you set up your systematic withdrawal option the wrong way. And then the third option is the annuity option. So what happens is with Thrift Savings Plan, they'll allow you to use one of the insurance companies through the TSP that says, okay, you could either forego this lump sum option, give it to an insurance company that will give you lifetime income payments, which sounds very similar to the pension option, but there's a lot of negatives to that. There's a lot of cons regarding that option because you don't have that same flexibility as if you wanted to create your own customized option. Even if you're leveraging annuities, you could utilize a multitude of different annuities that are precise and perfect for your specific age, for your specific time horizon, that may not be available or may not be the strongest by using the one annuity option or with that one annuity company that's offered through your Thrift Savings Plan. So I'll go more into those details. So up on the screen, I have a picture of a stool, a three-legged stool. And that's very relevant to the individuals that are federal employees that are offered pension, Social Security income, and then also Thrift Savings Plan. You could utilize three different areas of income-related strategies or income-related sources to have a confident retirement. And what I mean by that is if you have a combination of all three of these and you structure it properly, that could be greater than or equal to your expenses throughout your retirement years. So if you have cash flow strategies that are greater than or equal to your expenses, you ultimately have retirement success. You're able to spend your money however you deem fit because you know the next month you have more and more monies trickling in. And then you're also setting them up for lifetime income basis, something that will have income come to you. God forbid you pass away, then your spouse will still be receiving some sort of income stream. And once again, that's going to be greater than or equal to your expenses. So that's really the crux of any sort of retirement plan. If you don't have income, you don't have a retirement. So individuals that are working, they're federal employees, they're working, and then all of a sudden they stop working. Well, then now they have to rely on what are some of their cash flow sources? What are some of their income sources so they don't have to go back to work? Or if they have no aspirations to go back to work, they can live off of their existing assets that they've accumulated. That's where pension income comes in. Social Security income, if dependent upon if you have FERS or CSRS pension opportunities, and then you have this thrift savings plan, which is ultimately like a savings account as you were working, that you're placing a portion of your salary, putting it aside. If you think of it like the form of a bucket, you were making contributions into this plan, you were getting matching money into this plan, so that was allowing it to grow. And then you also had different investment options that you could choose, or you have different investment options to choose, such as the S fund, the C fund, the G fund, a whole slew of different investments that says if those investment opportunities, if they're positive, you're going to have the positives from your contribution, positive from your match, and positives from your investment performance. If the investment comes back negative, and though that performance comes back negative, it's equivalent to someone taking a sword and slicing your bucket, and you're having that money drain out. So it's all relevant to your contribution side versus your rate of return side and the combination of those two. But that's more of a growth-related strategy. So when we're trying to look at the most important areas of retirement planning or financial planning in general, step number one is you must have your income sources or your income strategy covered, because if you don't, that could result in retirement failure. Step two is whatever you don't use up for your income-related strategies, you should have a portion of dollars sitting in for emergency needs, and then whatever's left over should be utilized for growth-related needs. So some individuals like to have a splurge account, like a vacation-related account, something to beat out the pace of inflation. You could utilize opportunities to grow those excess monies to leave as inheritance maximization. You could utilize those dollars for tax planning needs, to maybe do Roth conversions if you do not have any monies in Roth, so that could help with your pension taxation, with your Social Security taxation. There's a whole multitude of different things, but really making sure that you're sticking to your lane and understanding that income is the most important aspect with any retirement plan helps you teeter off how you should take out those withdrawal options regarding your TSP and do it most effectively. Now, when an individual should execute their withdrawal options, or which option to execute, is really based on what their qualification period is. So you have a few different areas. You could either utilize TSP withdrawals if you're still working for the company. You have something called an in-service withdrawal, because you know that you're not going to stop working for the next 5, 10, however many years. You could go and take the amount of money that you've already accumulated in the Thrift Savings Plan and put it to use, create some sort of effective strategy with those monies. That's known as an in-service. It's called a withdrawal, but you could utilize it as an in-service rollover as your monies are still accumulating in your remaining TSP dollars. And what makes somebody eligible for an in-service withdrawal or in-service rollover is once they attain age 59 and a half. So at this point, an individual might be saying, hey, I understand that I'm not going to be retiring for another 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 years, but I'm 59 and a half right now, and I want to utilize this nice bucket that I've accumulated. I've accumulated this money from the contributions I've made into my plan, the matching money I've made into the plan, and then also the investment performance in there. So I want to make sure that this is customized and it's being set aside either into some sort of fixed option or better my income planning needs, better my growth planning needs, something that gives me more of an opportunity, a better opportunity than just leaving it in those limited funding options, limited investment choices within the Thrift Savings Plan. So that's when they would execute something called an in-service withdrawal, which I'll make sure to discuss the pros and cons when somebody's looking to do that and the best strategies that they can either implement on their own or utilize different advisory groups for that help. So that's really the first step, the first qualification period. The second qualification period is going to be if somebody severed employment. So what that means is as they were federal employees, they were, once again, if you think of the Thrift Savings Plan like a bucket, they were making contributions into this bucket, the matching money was going into this bucket, and then the rate of return that was coming back from those investment options, that's what was growing that bucket. When it comes time that somebody's eligible for it, they can do the rollover. So if you're no longer working for the federal government because either you got fired or you ended up leaving, you went more into private companies, whatever that case is, you're now eligible to take that Thrift Savings Plan and roll it out of there and place it into an IRA or customized IRAs. If you have Thrift Savings Plan sitting in your Roth TSP, you're eligible to roll that over into a Roth IRA account or multiple Roth IRA accounts. If let's say you have money sitting in your traditional TSP, well then you'd have that opportunity to roll it over into a traditional IRA or multiple traditional IRAs. And the reason why you would do that is because it's keeping it within that qualification period. Traditional accounts are pre-tax, meaning that you've never paid tax on it. It's growing tax deferred so that when it comes time for pulling those monies out in the form of income, you're going to be fully taxed on those dollars. Roth accounts are going to be monies you're placing contributions into. You never receive that tax deduction, means more post-tax. The monies grow within the Roth account tax-free, and then when it comes time for retirement, you start pulling out those, taking it from income, you could pull your monies out tax-free. So it's very effective strategies if you're eligible for that Roth or leveraging either Roth conversions or those Roth rollovers, if you sever an employment with your TSP. And that's a common mistake. Individuals don't realize. They say, oh, my thrift savings plan is just kind of sitting out there. I kind of had it accumulating, and they're not utilizing those chips correctly. Where if you have years of time horizon before it comes time that you're going to retire, you have all that opportunity to really grow those accounts or really make sure that you're segmenting those accounts towards a specific purpose, towards a specific lane. Something that you would not have that eligibility if you stayed within that thrift savings plan. So there has to be some sort of benefit to remove the monies from the thrift savings plan and do that rollover, do that withdrawal, so that it makes sense for your ultimate goal or your ultimate goals. And then the third qualification period would be when you retire. So if you're no longer working, it's similar to the severance, but you basically hit that retirement age and you say, okay, I'm taking my pension income, I've been taking my Social Security income, and now I want to basically take a portion or all of my thrift savings plan monies and roll it over and make sure that it's maximized to its most potential. Something that will allow you to save thousands of dollars going into the correct direction, and then you have all the excess monies left over towards your fund monies, towards your splurge accounts, towards your growth related accounts, because you utilize that correct mechanism of hitting that retirement date, your ideal retirement date of retiring through as a federal employee. So before I go into more of the best strategies, what are the pros and cons regarding thrift savings plan? And I already touched up on it, but if you think of a thrift savings plan like a bucket, what happens is you're working and you're taking a percentage of your salary and you're contributing into this sort of account. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. You know that monies are getting set aside for you for retirement. You also are given a match through the federal government. Basically, as a federal employer, they will go and give matching money to federal employees. So there's going to be a percentage of monies that you're placing in there, a percentage of that's going to be matched, meaning that the government's also going to be placing in there, and that's adding positives to the account. The matching money is key because that's ultimately free money. It's giving you some sort of incentive to place dollars into that thrift savings plan. Once again, how this grows is by the rate of return. That's coming back based on your different investment options. And this is where the opportunity lies when somebody's looking to take monies from their thrift savings plan and roll it over into an IRA. And the reason being is because there's only so much juice you could squeeze out of the investment options that are eligible with thrift savings plans. There's a limited amount of funds. So typically you'll have anywhere between 10 to 20 different options to choose, and they're very limited on what you could choose. You might have target date funds. You're going to have some sort of common stock fund, some sort of international fund, some sort of G fund, fixed account related fund, and it's only going to be so many different index related options that you could choose. When you go and you're comparing the investment opportunities through an IRA, you could have thousands of different opportunities, something that has low cost, that has high quality, different things that are not the same as the thrift savings plan. So from a growth perspective, an individual can go and utilize their dollars into an IRA and have better growth opportunities. From an income perspective, I mentioned that there's really three main areas that somebody could take out withdrawals from. They could either pull their monies out in the form of a lump sum. They could take their monies out in systematic withdrawals, which doesn't really help anything because you're still going to be leaving your money invested in those limited funding options. And then the third option is taking in the form of annuity, which can be a large detriment to a situation because if you're taking your monies lump sum and you're placing into that one annuity company, that the only annuity company that they could offer through their savings plan, you now just lost control. If let's say you take the single life only option on pension income, you take the single life only option on the annuity side, and you pass away prematurely, well, what happened to your three-legged stool? All that income, all that money stops, and then also Social Security, all that money stops, and you're leaving nothing to beneficiaries, nothing to your loved ones if that was something that was important to you. So really case in point, which I'm going to show you different examples, case in point is you just want to have the most control of your dollars and make sure that you're utilizing your dollars into the correct area. If you think of different accounts like individual tools in a tool belt, how can you use the tool most effectively to accomplish your need. If let's say you're trying to hang up a picture and you need to hammer in a nail, we're going to use a hammer. Can you use the back of a screwdriver? Yes, but it's not going to be as efficient as using a hammer. You could get it done a lot quicker by using a hammer. You could be a lot more successful by using a hammer in that situation. That's the same thing that I want you to create some sort of strategy that's going to be most appropriate for your situation. Can you use a safety account or an income account or a growth-related account to kind of utilize a whole mechanism of accomplishing your needs? Yes, but you want to make sure you're using the safety-related accounts for the safety-related strategy. You're using the income-related accounts for the income-related strategy. You're using the growth-related accounts for the growth-related strategy. You're not trying to use a jack of all trades to try to do a little bit here, a little bit there. You're being efficient, and what that's going to result in is saving you thousands of more dollars and helping you retire faster, working less years, and having that confidence, most importantly, throughout your retirement years. So if we go over a basic example, and let's say that somebody's 60 years old and they're looking to retire at age 65. So when we're looking at their three-legged stool process, we understand that they have pension income. Let's say that they're eligible for their Social Security supplement, and then they also have their Thrift Savings Plan monies. Their point A is they're currently age 60, which, remember, when to execute, if they still want to work for the federal government for 5 more years, they could do this because they're eligible for an in-service rollover, an in-service withdrawal. Their point B is age 65. So how to make sure that they're getting from point A to point B successfully, and then from point B until date of death successfully. Making sure that they no longer have to work if that's something that's not important to them, or something that's important to them is that they do not have to go back to work. They do not have to work part-time or anything like that. They can just basically ride off into the sunset and really enjoy their lifestyle at that point. So with this situation, the most important thing is to really understand what your expenses are right now, and then also what your expenses are projected to be. So this is something where we help individuals with expense analysis and understanding to the decimal point what their current expenses are and then what their projected expenses are going to be at that age 65. That's the crux of everything. That's the ultimate goal. Remember, if you don't have income in retirement, then you don't have a retirement. So at that point, let's say that an individual, after doing their budgeting analysis, they understand that they have $80,000 of expenses that they have to make sure to hit from that 65 until ultimately date of death for both them and their spouse. So at that situation, they are able to accumulate dollars from the 60 to 65 marker. They have a thrift savings plan that's sitting there of $400,000, and they have other accounts. But just for this example, I'm just going to say they have one thrift savings plan, and they have a pension income stream, Social Security income stream, and that thrift savings plan. When figuring out what their pension income stream is going to be, let's just say for this example, it's $40,000 per year. Social Security income is going to come to this person at 65 at $20,000 per year. So that's $60,000 of their cash flow need. And we're just keeping everything equal. Obviously, there's cost of living adjustments and all that stuff, but just for simplistic purposes, let's say this is $60,000 of some sort of guaranteed cash flow stream that's coming to them. Well, in that example, their expenses are $80,000 that they have to hit from age 65 and beyond, and they have this 5-year time horizon. But because they're above the age of 59 and a half, they could utilize the thrift savings plan monies effectively. Their first step should be trying to utilize or trying to close up that gap from $60,000 to $80,000 using this dollar amount. Whatever they don't need of this dollar amount could be utilized towards different areas. So there's always going to be 3 main types of accounts that an individual could utilize. It's either safety-related accounts, income-related accounts, or growth-related accounts. What are some of the benefits of that? Or when you're comparing a saving strategy, income strategy versus growth strategy, and you're saying, oh, I could leave my money in the thrift savings plan, or I could take the monies and roll it over and actually customize those areas effectively, efficiently. What do I mean by that? Well, some safety-related accounts are going to be your checking, your savings, your money market account, something that's liquid and safe that you could basically touch at any point in time. Simply put, any sort of income-related accounts to really maximize what your income strategy would be utilizing stock dividends, bonds. Annuities are specifically designed annuities that allow you to have that flexibility. You have to be very careful, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, you have to be very careful when utilizing annuities and making sure that you're matching it up to your specific situation. If it's a 5-year deferral versus a 2-year deferral versus an immediate income, all that, that's a whole slew of different data that's coming back, hundreds and hundreds of different data points that says, okay, this is going to be the optimized situation. But that's an area you could utilize. And you have REITs, real estate, different things that could produce that sort of cash flow. And then growth-related accounts. This is where an individual could typically take on more risk. So that might be your mutual funds, your growth-related stocks, your ETFs, your different index funds, different speculative-related, investments or cryptocurrencies, different things like that you have that you could say, okay, this portion of dollars I'm not trying to rely on for my emergency need and my income-related needs, but this is just more set aside as that fund account, some sort of ancillary-related purpose. So this is where somebody could either go and try to place their money on their own in those different accounts, or they could have a complete structure and then actually have a complete plan with there. So as an example, whenever we help out individuals, we say, okay, what's the smallest amount of dollars, and only as much as necessary from this $400,000? You could go and place it into an IRA or customized IRAs to create that $20,000 of cash flow to, generate that or close up that income gap. Maybe out of this $400,000, it's going to say you're leveraging $200,000 towards that income-related strategy or income-related accounts, and we know exactly how it's laddering properly to get executed at this age 65. With that being said, now you have $200,000 remaining that you could leave into some sort of safety-related accounts or growth-related accounts and make sure that now those are being executed effectively and efficiently. Something that could give you much better either rates of return or much better flexibility than leaving it in that thrift savings plan. So that's $200,000 that you could go and have in a customized IRA or multiple IRAs with safety, customized IRA or multiple IRAs with growth, and you still have 5 years of a contribution time horizon that you could accumulate monies from that 60 to 65 as an additional bucket at age 65. So what do I mean by that? So if we use the example that somebody's eligible for an in-service rollover, let's say they hit retirement age and it's only a year out, whatever that is, in this example we had $400,000 that was sitting in the thrift savings plan. How'd this money grow? It grew by the contributions the individual was making, the matching money from the federal employer to that federal employee, so that was positives, and then also the rate of return. When they take this money, and let's say this was sitting in just a traditional thrift savings plan, and they rolled it over into multiple IRAs or one IRA, and then that got transferred into multiple IRAs, it went from qualified account to qualified account. So they're not getting dinged with taxation when they're rolling those monies over. That's the power of a rollover. That's why individuals leverage rollover opportunities to make sure that's more customized than the limitations with just those investment options of their savings plan. After that occurs, well, now this new IRA or multiple IRAs has an account balance of $400,000, and your thrift savings plan has an account balance of $0. But nothing has changed, because if let's say you're making 5% contribution, you make $100,000 as an example, and you're placing $5,000 per year into a thrift savings plan, and the employer, the federal government's also matching you $3,000, it doesn't matter if your account balance is $400,000 or your account balance is $0. That matching money, your contribution amount, does not change. The only thing that changes is the dollar amount, or what could be hindered by the different rates of return that you chose regarding those investment options. So that's something that a lot of individuals don't necessarily understand, or they don't grasp that concept that you're not losing those dollars when you do a rollover. It's just being placed into a different vehicle. You're using it towards more efficient tools, more effective tools to make sure that you could have that optimization and really accomplish your retirement goal most effectively, most efficiently. So if you're interested in either having a conversation with one of our advisors and just helping you get segmented on doing it your own, or you want to actually get implemented towards a plan, we have a trademark process known as the retirement diet plan. So what we do is we filter through all the different carriers, all the different strategies, and it says the reason why it's called diet is we want to make sure that we're maximizing your distribution planning strategies, your investment and growth planning strategies, your estate planning strategies, and your tax planning strategies. Rather than just have a portfolio that's just trying to grow, that's not going to get you to that finish line. In order to get to the finish line, you have to have an actual plan. And so you don't want to have a portfolio, you want to have a plan. You could have multiple portfolios that make up the plan, but each one has to stick to its optimized lane to make sure that you could say, okay, in that example, at age 65, this is when I want to retire. I want to make sure I never have to go back to work, and I could visit my grandkids. I could golf every day. I could fish every day. Whatever that picture is, whatever that retirement dream is, how can you actually put it into some sort of reality? And that's what we try to help you guys out with. Individuals that are more do-it-yourselfers, well, then we at least tell them, okay, this are some different tools that you might want to look at on your own, and different things that you could go to try to create this, but be careful of X, Y, Z when you're going through those strategies. Simply put, from here, if you did find value, feel free to give our 1-800 number a call. It's 1-800-566-1002 and reference this video, TSP withdrawal options. And then so that when calling over, we'll make sure that our assistants get you set up with the correct advisor. And then that advisor could fully understand what your situation is. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Retire Sharp, so you can have access to the most updated videos. Thanks so much, guys.